Just when we thought the Dipset family drama had cooled down, Jim Jones has set the internet on fire, and this time, the betrayal runs deeper than rap. After years of loyalty, private pain, and public support, Jim is calling out Chrissy in what many are calling his most personal outburst yet. But what triggered it? A secret meet with Camron, the man Jim's had a rocky past with, and what followed has fans questioning everything we thought we knew about love, loyalty, and legacy in hip-hop. This isn't just a beef, it's a betrayal with receipts. At first glance, things had been quiet in the world of Jim Jones. He was focused, staying low, working on music, and spending time with Chrissy, the woman he's publicly loved and stood by for over 2 decades. To fans, it seemed like the couple had weathered every storm the industry could throw at them, through label drama, reality TV exposure, and inner-circle beef. Jim and Chrissy stood strong, even when Dipset began to crumble from within. But something had shifted. The industry was buzzing again. And Dipset's old wounds were starting to reopen. Camron, Jim's longtime brother-turned-rival, had started making noise on social media. First it was throwback posts, then subtle jabs, and whispers of an upcoming project. Rumors of a reunion started floating around. Not the warm, fuzzy kind, but a cold, calculated comeback. And that's when Chrissy's name unexpectedly entered the conversation. According to insiders close to both camps, Camron and Chrissy had recently crossed paths, not by accident, but in a private off-the-record meet that no one expected. The location: a quiet lounge in downtown Manhattan. The reason? That's where the betrayal allegedly began. Word spread like wildfire, not because it was confirmed, but because of how secretive it all was. Jim Jones, always the emotional one, took to Instagram late one night and posted a cryptic story. A black screen with a single line: "Loyalty don't come with history, it come with heart." No names, no tags. But fans knew exactly who he meant. Within minutes, speculation exploded. Was Jim calling out Chrissy? Was Cam involved? Had something gone down behind his back? Within 24 hours, an audio clip leaked an argument, barely 30 seconds long, between Jim and Chrissy. Jim's voice could be heard, raw with emotion, saying, "You out here meeting with the same man who tried to ruin me?" That one line set the internet ablaze. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just about music or friendship. It was about betrayal at the most personal level. People began dissecting Chrissy's recent moves. A few weeks prior, she had posted a throwback photo with Camron and the Dipset crew, seemingly innocent. But now it looked like a breadcrumb. Had she been communicating with Cam all along? Jim, meanwhile, went dark. No posts, no tweets. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes everything louder. Fans were torn. Some defended Chrissy, saying she had every right to speak with whoever she wanted. Others accused her of disloyalty, citing the fact that Cam and Jim hadn't truly made peace and that crossing that boundary, especially in private, was a betrayal. But the truth was deeper. According to someone close to Chrissy, she didn't meet Camron to gossip or reconnect. She met him to clear the air, to try and bring peace between two men she'd watched rise and fall together for years. But in trying to play mediator, she ended up stepping on a landmine. Jim, still scarred from years of tension with Cam, didn't see it as peacekeeping. He saw it as collusion. The tension reached a peak when Camron, never one to stay quiet, posted a blurry photo of what appeared to be him sitting across from a woman who looked like Chrissy. The caption: "Sometimes it takes a queen to remind a king who he is." That was it. No names, no hashtags, but the message was clear. Now, Jim wasn't just battling old wounds with Cam. He was questioning the foundation of his relationship with Chrissy. And for a man who'd always worn his heart on his sleeve, it was only a matter of time before the pain spilled over. And it did. Publicly. During a live interview on a late-night hip-hop podcast, Jim finally broke his silence. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even yelling, but he looked tired. defeated, betrayed. "I've been through a lot," he said. "A lot y'all never even seen. And I've always kept it G, but when the people you love most do things behind your back, that's what break a man, not ops, not enemies, but your own." The interviewer tried to steer the convo away, but Jim wasn't done. "I don't need apologies," he said. "I need real ones around me. You don't go to war with somebody and then sit down with the person who aimed the first shot. That's not love. That's confusion." The fans watching were stunned. It wasn't about Cam anymore. It was about trust. And then he said it. "Chrissy crossed a line. Ain't no fixing that." Those words rang louder than any diss track. Chrissy didn't respond publicly. She didn't post. She didn't comment. But those around her said she was devastated that she never meant to hurt Jim, only to help him find closure with Cam. But her decision backfired in the worst way. And while she stayed silent, Camron leaned all the way in. He went live laughing, sipping tea, and playing Dipset classics in the background. "People always mad when you tell the truth," he said, with a grin. "But I ain't never lied a day in my life." Was it shade? Absolutely. But it was also fuel that Jim had been hurt, but now he was pissed. And when Jim Jones gets angry, he turns to the one place he's always found clarity: the booth. That's when the studio sessions began. Rumors swirled that Jim was working on a response project, not a diss album, but a deeply personal project addressing betrayal, heartbreak, and loss. Close collaborators said the material was some of the rawest they'd ever heard. "He's not taking shots," one producer said. "He's telling the truth. His truth. And in hip-hop. That's the most dangerous kind of record." As news of Jim's emotional interview spread like wildfire, the culture split down the middle. Team Jim felt the betrayal deep. Fans and hip-hop veterans alike posted solidarity messages, praising him for being vulnerable and real in a game where most men bury their pain in silence. Hashtags like #StandWithCapo and #ChrissyY started trending. But the other side. Team Chrissy wasn't staying quiet either. They questioned the idea of betrayal when Chrissy never slept with anyone, never disrespected Jim publicly, and according to many, simply tried to mediate between two men she considered family. If Chrissy had met with Cam to tear Jim down, yeah, that's wrong, one viral comment said. But if she was trying to bring peace, that's strength, that's love. Jim just wasn't ready for it. But for Jim, intention didn't erase impact. To him, it felt like the ultimate blindside. Not just that Chrissy met with Cam, but that he had to find out through the streets that pain started bleeding into everything. Insiders said Jim had moved out of the home he and Chrissy shared in New Jersey, taking only his studio gear, a few bags, and his chain. Chrissy, meanwhile, stayed behind, reportedly devastated but keeping her dignity intact. No press, no interviews, just silence. And in that silence, Camron played. Loud.cam began trolling subtly, but deliberately. His Instagram stories were filled with cryptic quotes and Dipset nostalgia. One post read, "Only the guilty stay quiet when the truth is loud." Fans took it as a direct shot at Jim and a sly nod to Chrissy's involvement. But others saw deeper. Strategy. Was Cam manipulating this moment? Was he weaponizing Chrissy's actions to break Jim completely? Things took another turn when an old video surfaced, footage from years ago showing Chrissy and Cam hanging out during a Dipset tour. In the clip, they looked like family, laughing and vibing. But in today's climate, every second felt like foreshadowing. Commenters began speculating. Was this always deeper than we thought? That question struck a nerve, because beneath all the drama. But what did Chrissy think? What did she feel hearing the man she built a life with airing their pain for the world? She had warned Jim not to go public. She had asked him to talk in private. But once he went live, she knew the story was no longer theirs. It belonged to the culture now, and the culture was eating it up. Memes flooded timelines. Twitter threads dissected every lyric, every post. every glance from old episodes of Love and Hip Hop. YouTube gossip channels racked up millions of views theorizing on whether Chrissy and Cam had ever been more than friends. Even old Dipset affiliates started speaking up. Joel Santana posted a cryptic tweet. "Loyalty ain't always loud. Sometimes it's just not crossing lines." Hellrill posted a throwback photo of him and Jim with the caption, "We knew who was real from the jump." The world was watching and picking sides, but behind the noise, the people involved were hurting. Jim had taken off his chain in recent public appearances. The same chain Chrissy once gave him. The symbolism wasn't lost. That chain represented unity, legacy, and love. Without it, Jim looked different. Not broken, but changed. And Chrissy. She was spotted leaving a restaurant in Soho, sunglasses on, avoiding cameras. One paparazzi asked, "Would you take him back?" She didn't speak. But she paused just long enough to say everything silence ever could. It had been weeks since the initial explosion. In that short time, reputations had shifted, silence had been weaponized, and pain had turned poetic. The hip-hop world was still split down the middle, fans wondering if there would ever be closure between Jim, Chrissy, and Cam. But the one thing no one saw coming was an actual face-to-face between the two men at the center of it all. Dipset was scheduled to appear at a tribute show in Harlem, a last-minute booking meant to honor New York's legacy in hip-hop. Originally, only Camron was on the list. But rumors leaked that Jim might show up too. The crowd screamed, and from the side of the stage, Jim Jones walked out. No entourage, no chain. Just raw energy. The venue erupted. Cam turned, surprised, but not shaken. He smirked, nodded, and backed up, giving Jim center stage. It wasn't a warm reunion. There were no hugs, no daps, but it was tense, electric, and unplanned. Jim didn't say much. Just one sentence into the mic, "Harlem forever. The rest I'll deal with in real life." And with that, he walked off. Cam watched him go, face unreadable. But in that moment, the room knew this wasn't peace, but it was progress. Backstage, no cameras were allowed. But according to two sources present, the two men finally spoke. Not as rappers, but as former brothers. Voices were raised. No punches thrown, but pain was spilled. Words that had waited over a decade finally left their chests. What exactly was said? We may never know, but the fallout was immediate. Jim posted a single picture later that night, a childhood photo of him. And Cam, no caption. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was nostalgia, a nod to what once was. And what could have been. As for Chrissy, she broke her silence just days later. But not through interviews or social media. She dropped a 3-minute video diary on her private page, later shared publicly. The video was simple. Her sitting on her couch, no makeup, no music. But I also didn't protect him the way I should have. It's not from Cam, from himself. She paused, holding back tears. I believed I could fix things. That if I brought them back together, maybe I could restore some of what they lost. But I didn't ask Jim what he needed. I acted on what I thought was right. She continued, I love him, I always will. But I also know that love can't survive where trust is dead. And right now, we're both grieving the version of us that used to be. The video was raw, respectful, and deeply painful. Fans were divided. Some praised her for accountability. Others said it was too little, it's too late. Jim didn't respond publicly,